It's been a bit of a wait since round one, but the wait is finally over. Unfortunately, it won't be a warm, sunny welcome. Get your rain boots on as we get ready for the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West Series. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Joey Atterbury. Joey, tell us a little bit about Sonoma and what these drivers are up against in qualifying.
Well, as we can see from these pictures overhead, it is extremely wet on this racetrack. Let's take a look at the track map. We are located just north of San Francisco here in Sonoma. This racetrack has a ton of elevation, starting off in turn number 1, steep uphill, and it continues to climb uphill all the way to the top of turn number 3A. And then it is a downhill section all the way through the carousel towards turn number 7, which is the end of the drag strip on the far left side of the track map. Turn number 9 is the chicane. Going to see lots of passing opportunities in there. And then turn number 11, the other side of the racetrack. But the key today, in qualifying at least, is finding the grip and avoiding those puddles.
Very much so. And those of you that are just tuning in may have missed the North America Cayman qualifying a bit ago. Had a couple drivers that were over there. Greg Herback got a little bit of time in. Zach Bradford as well. So they might have a little bit more to go on than some of these other drivers. Unfortunately for Justin Lewis, he's already had an off at one point on the outlap.
One of the benefits about being able to run both of those series, like you were just saying, is just the extra track time, right? A handful of these drivers literally just came off the track not even 5 minutes ago, so they are at least up to speed in terms of what the conditions are out there. They can at least know what to expect out of the performance levels of the cars, while some of them are going to have to go and tiptoe it around, try to find where the actual grip level is around this very, very tricky elevation-filled circuit.
I wonder if there was a penalty from Mark Krigler there, because I just saw him go by on pit lane. I don't see anything from race control, so not sure what that was about, but he is back out there as we check out Laura Eli now. This is the first flying lap that drivers are on. Brandon Hankins is looking like he's the one to watch out for because he's got 2 purple sectors.
Just something I'm observing here is that even with the very, very short turnaround time between the sessions, it certainly seems like we've got more standing water on the racetrack. And that makes sense, right? We don't have 20 cars running around during that 5 minutes to keep the water being pumped off the racetrack. But kind of leads into my point is that the times are going to start slow and constantly get faster.
And we saw that with the North America qualifying, that it's a major factor. Being out there as the track adapts and learning constantly is what's going to find you speed. So drivers do need to stay out there, try and put the laps in, and see if there's anything else to it that they had missed on the previous circuits. So far, only Brandon has set a time. Now we finally get a second one from Laura Eli, but it seems like Brandon is much more comfortable out there. He's 7 seconds ahead of the next car.
Yeah, 206.6 out of Brandon Hankins in that white and red number 295. And I can't say that I'm too surprised because he was fastest in that earlier practice session that we had a little bit earlier this morning. So he's going out there and just kind of reclaiming that top spot. I was just also noticing, you see that water coming across the racetrack in between turn 2 and 3 out there. That's something the drivers are going to have to manage.
Very much so. Those rivers can really be a killer out there as we watch from above on Laura Eli. She is the pole sitter for the Masters right now. And for our viewers that might be new to racing, Joey, what do those rivers do when you're driving in a race car?
It's the potential for aquaplaning, for hydroplaning. Right now, they are running rain tires, so these aren't just the slick tires. They do have grooves on them, and you can see them pumping out the water from those channels inside the tires. However, anytime you come up to standing water, it doesn't matter how many grooves you got to be able to cut through that. And that's the dangerous part about the water flowing across the racetrack. And what I'm talking about is right about here. You can see kind of drainage on both the left and the right side. And that's also tricky because it's leading into turn number 3, so you're kind of trying to set up the car for the corner as well.
Man, Brandon is carrying on his momentum from round 1. He took back-to-back wins back in Phoenix, and he's now setting more purple sectors this time around. He's just about to come across the start-finish line. A 2:06.6 last time by. Let's see what it comes down to this time. 206.2, another 4/10 down. Third sector wasn't as phenomenal as the first one. We're on board with him now, heading up into the blind turn 2.
And I'm wondering, with all this rain and whatnot, if we've got enough to kind of watch Brandon Hankins' lap right here, just to see where he is driving, right? He's the fastest car on the racetrack. See where he's making a little bit of speed right in the middle of the racetrack there in turn 3A, a little bit closer towards the apex up there. Now up and over the crest, the car always gets light on its feet right there. This is turn number 4, right in the middle of the road, so really using that rain line. You saw that snap of oversteer, though, Joe, coming out of there. Lots of horsepower in these cars, and Brandon's still managing that grip level. Here's another section where you really have to feel out what it's doing.
Zach Bradford just moved up into second overall. Remember, that's a Cayman. These are Cayman Pro-Am center, and he's on the front row.
211.0 from Bradford there, and I think even judging from our Cayman qualifying session that we just had about 5 minutes ago, I think that there's still even more time to be gained.
I agree, definitely. Currently, I think we've got about 6 cars on the track right now that are out racing. Looks like more than that, actually. I think 7 of them currently on the circuit, and 6 have managed to set times. Looks like Mark Krigler is getting ready to put one down soon. Just across the line there for the 75 of Justin Lewis. He sits second of the Cayman Masters right now behind Greg Herbeck.
And I've just really been watching where Brandon's been placing the car, the majority in the middle of the road, which is exactly what you want to see. You want to be off of the dry racing line. You know, as I say that, he brings it into pit road.
So maybe he's had enough of that. We've got 11 minutes left. He could definitely get back out there. I see Laura Eli just through the chicane. She's still third overall, but our GT3 Cup Masters leader right now. So we'll see whether or not she can jump up ahead of Bradford once again. She's got a personal best second sector, so that's good to see. She is going to stay out there on track as we watch her around the turn 11 hairpin. Up next to the wall, accelerates away. Let's see what it looks like when she crosses the line. A 2:11.073, and unfortunately looks like she has not improved that lap.
I think it's smart for the majority of these drivers, if not all of them, to be out there just consistently turning laps. Now, there is that danger factor of being out on the wet racetrack, and what if you lose control, and what if something bad happens? You want to be able to save the car for the race. We were kind of talking about it before we went live with all of these sessions. I think that this rain, this weather is here to stick around all weekend. The drivers, they got to get used to it.
Manny Del Real currently sitting second in the Masters. I think he set a personal best time, but he stays put where he is. Yeah, 2:14.9 that last time by. He's chasing on Laura Eli, and there's about 1.9 seconds between them. So there is a bit of a gap, but as we've seen, big chunks can be taken out if you stay out there and be a little brave in some sectors. I think this is Justin Lewis that we're seeing now on screen.
And I'm going to kind of walk back what I said a little bit earlier. I do think that the lap times are going to continue to improve, but we don't have 15, 20, 25 cars out there running constantly, really pushing the water off of the racetrack. We've only got, call it, a handful of it out there. So, yes, it will be getting faster, but I don't think it's going to ramp up like we saw just a few moments ago.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And apologies, this is Zach Bradford that we've been watching here in the sort of gold and green as he comes out of the hairpin. Still sitting second overall with an amazing lap. Definitely using that knowledge that he gained last time out in the North America qualifying to help him out here. This is down into the chicane. Not showing that this is a fast lap for him, and definitely pushing it hard into the corner as he goes a bit wide. And I just saw another car go by us on pit lane.
Ooh. That was a little bit of a wiggle in turn number 10 from the 14 cars. He just tried to stay in the throttle and power slide his way through it. Another thing that these drivers are getting the hang of is the visibility, right? It's not going to be absolutely picture perfect going into a lot of these brake zones. We see the 14 car come across the line. Doesn't look like he's going to improve that lap at all, so he stays at a 2:11.0. But leading into my point, once we get into the afternoon and all of these series are going to be out there in the racing conditions, it is going to be tough to see with this much water.
Del Rio went by again and did not improve, but Herback did. Herback moves up to 4th overall. Another Cayman that is doing an amazing job out there, but yet again, another driver that's got some experience this morning, or well now, I guess this afternoon we should say, getting some laps in. I did see that it was Henry Marshall that has come out onto the track, so he was a bit late into qualifying, but clearly he thinks there's something to gain by getting it onto the circuit, even with only about 7.5 minutes to go.
And I believe that HM Road Racing Squad was just making sure that the car was ready to go from practice a little while earlier, where once again, very, very tricky conditions. But the other thing that I like about going out a little bit later in the session is I keep mentioning all the cars running on the racetrack. If it's going to get drier at all, it is after once all those cars ran on the track.
Yeah, so why risk it in the early stages? Let everybody else do all the hard work if you feel confident enough. 2:04 just going by us, but Krigler, I wonder if there's some sort of transponder issue, because I'm still showing him as not competing here. So yeah, I think there's something screwy on our timing and scoring, but he has set a time at 2:20.6 for Mark Krigler right now. So he has at least got one on the board. He's currently second in the Pro-Ams, chasing on Brandon Hankins.
About 6.5 minutes remaining here in this wet qualifying session for the USA West Series here with Porsche at Sonoma Raceway for Sprint Challenge weekend of North America Racing, the Caymans. We also have the Endurance Challenge coming up on Sunday. And that's, kind of leading into that, because this USA West is the multi-class, so it's kind of like a little bit of a preview for that endurance race.
Very much so. Yeah, you're going to have to deal with so much more than just the rain if you're running in the Endurance Challenge, and these drivers get a little bit of a taste of that. It does look like Del Real is on a good lap here. In fact, he's good enough to move himself back up to 4th overall. Still has not caught Laura Eli. Another 4/10, and he might be able to do it. But I think that's something like the 4th lap in a row we've seen Manny improve his lap time. So I think he's on a very good trend right now.
Maybe figuring out some of these tricky corners at this elevation-filled racetrack out here in Northern California, figuring out exactly how far off of the apex you need to be, or maybe how much you need to cut those turn number 9 chicane curbs. But either way, like you were saying, Del Real doing a fantastic job continuing to cut down the time. And I think there's actually only one Cayman in front of him. That's the Zach Bradford number 14 car that has just really been outperforming the rest of the class.
I was just kind of thinking about him and wondering, I believe with this being mixed class, that they'll position him behind the Cup cars, because normally we don't have that problem with the Masters and the Pro-Ams. They are allowed to be mixed up on the grid, but this is two physically different types of cars, so they'll want to try and separate them when we get to the actual race start itself. The 278 that we're watching, Henry Marshall. I think this is going to be his first timed lap that he's just getting ready to set.
It really seems like he's kind of crawling around the racetrack right now, just making sure that the car is all good after that little bit of a practice session earlier in the day. And that's that number 14 of Zach Bradford directly behind Henry Marshall. Wonder if Henry's going to continue on or if he's going to bring it into pit lane here. Looks like he's staying right there in the middle of the racetrack, so it appears that he is going to continue on. It makes sense, though, that Bradford is going to call it.
Watching some of these shots, it does look like there's a lot more spray now than there was in our previous qualifying session earlier today. So, yeah, it looks like it is a much wetter track. Bradford, like you mentioned, is out of there. Henry Marshall puts down a 2:29.6 on that lap by, but I'm watching Manny Del Real because, again, he's on personal bests as we may have had an issue up into the first corner, because I see, oh, and we got a red flag. So something has happened now, and the 270.
Yeah, it's right here in front of us on the front straightaway. So,
oh, that's Manny.
Oh, no. That was the car that you were just mentioning, getting faster and faster and faster. And I mean, he is parked on the front straightaway here. We've seen a couple incidents in practice earlier today in this exact same area. It is so slippery out there. And the front straightaway here at Sonoma is not straight. These cars have well over 500 horsepower. And I think the trickiest bit about it, we're right here next to the drag strip. So there's lots of stuff that kind of seeps through the concrete wall. It is just a little tricky.
Yeah, it's understandable. I mean, normally that's an easily flat portion, but in the rain, probably it's extra difficult. And we might be able to get a look at this, as it looks like the session may be over, because we have not enough time yet to clear this car and get it back going again, which should mean that Brandon Hankins will be our pole sitter for the Cup cars, and then the Caymans will be led by Zach Bradford. Already have the crew there to talk to the driver. That's a bit of a shame. Like I said, he was setting 2 personal best sectors again, and I think he was on his way to getting closer to Laura Eli. We can't know whether or not he was going to wind up jumping over her in terms of time. This is certainly one of the more trickier extractions, it looks like, than they typically have in this series.
Yeah, and you know, it's good to see that the driver door is already open. I see him kind of moving around inside the car, talking to the safety workers. Actually, from our commentary booth, we've got a fantastic view of it just right here in front of us. I do see the driver getting the helmet out of the car here, so he's going to be climbing out of the car. But you're right, maybe a little bit of a tricky one, given that it's so close to the wall.
We are now officially finished, even though there's time left on the clock. There you see the flagman with the checkers held up, and we've got 8 times on the board for today, but Brandon Hankins the quickest. It looks like we will try and be back live again in a little bit of time. Hopefully this red flag does not delay us too much, because they do have some quick turnover with a lot of qualifying back-to-back here today. We'll take a look at this in a second, just so that we can try and dissect how the car wound up where it is on this one.
And just kind of as we're getting everything prepped and queued up, I believe so. I see our driver going over to the safety car right now, our medical car. So he is walking under his own power. Certainly seems like it is a non-issue in terms of driver being okay. Let's see if we can go ahead and queue up this replay here. So it's the blue car. Yeah, just loose and noses it into the wall there. Doesn't make it to start finish. So a little bit unfortunate there.
Oh, it's especially unfortunate because this is one of the parts of the track that's practically a street course. There's walls on either side. If it was somewhere where he was towards the grass, you know, maybe he could have had enough space that he wouldn't have hit anything and just looped it back around in time. But wrong place, wrong time, and that gives us a chance, now that we're done with the session, to go through your finishing order. This is all mixed up, so I'm just going to try and give you the overall here and list off who is what. But Brandon Hankins is currently your overall pole sitter, fastest in the Cup Pro-Am, fastest Cayman Pro-Am. Zach Bradford, he is second overall. Third overall is Laura Eli. She's the pole sitter for the Cup Masters. Fourth overall will be Greg Herback. He is your pole sitter for the Cayman Masters. From there, fifth overall is Manny Del Real in the Cup Masters as well. You've got sixth overall for Justin Lewis in the Cayman Masters. Seventh overall for Mark Krigler, also Pro-Am Cup cars. And then finally, last set of time was the Masters car of Henry Marshall in the Cup vehicles. We're going to wrap this one up, but again, we've got more racing coming your way. Stick around, because we have the GT3 Cup Series for North America on our channel soon.